group of wild hogs roaming the streets. Now, those hogs have been showing up day and night in the Peach Grove neighborhood on the southeast side.
America has spent hundreds of millions of dollars and lost every year to an army of 6 million feral super pigs. Animals too smart to trap, too armored to shoot, and multiplying faster than anyone can kill them.
For decades now, farmers and ranchers have struggled to control the rising population of destructive and dangerous feral hogs.
Fences, poison, helicopters, floodlights, none of it worked. Then, across the Texas Hill Country, the hogs started dying anyway. Brought down not by any weapon or program, but by a single native predator no one believed could touch them. It weighs about 30 pounds. Nobody trained it, and nobody's paying it. And right now, it's doing what billions of dollars never could. This is not the pig you think it is. Here's the thing you have to understand before any of the rest of this makes sense. The animal in that forest is not the pig in your head. When you hear wild pig, you picture something fat and slow, snuffling around in the mud. Easy. That picture is going to cost you. The feral hog in America is the product of centuries of accidental crossbreeding between escaped domestic pigs and imported Eurasian wild boar. A hybrid nobody designed, but which nature has quietly tuned for one thing only: survival. Pigs aren't even native here. They were carried across the ocean roughly 500 years ago as livestock, and as settlers spread across the continent, animals slipped loose and were left behind all along the way. What's out there now is the descendant of every one of those escapees, breeding unchecked. And get this, a big one can weigh close to 220 pounds, carry tusks longer than your hand, and wear a shield of skin and dense fat, thick enough that a light bullet can glance off the vital zones like a fist against a wall. Hunters across the South will tell you flat out, if you can't hit the exact right spot, don't pull the trigger. Because a wounded hog doesn't run away, it turns around and comes for you. They hit close to 30 miles an hour. They clear a chest-high fence. They tear open a metal bin like it's paper and break through a heavy door by charging it head first. But the body isn't even the scary part. The scary part is the mind. These animals don't just flinch at danger. They remember it, they study it, and they change. Shoot at one and miss, and the whole group may never let a human inside range again. Trap half a sounder, and the survivors learn the exact shape of that trap. So completely it's useless in that spot forever. They've been watched rerouting their entire nightly travel after a single bad run-in with people. That is not instinct, that is learning. So, sit with the real problem for a second. We are up against an animal that is armored, faster than you, smarter than most predators, and it learns from every mistake we make. Force was never going to win this, which is exactly why 17 of them turning up dead, killed by something small, should not have been possible. 6 million, and the number only goes up. To feel the full weight of that Texas forest, you need the scale, and the scale is genuinely hard to stomach. As of the mid-2020s, the U.S. Department of Agriculture estimates roughly 6 million feral hogs are roaming freely across the country, more animals than there are people in the entire city of Los Angeles. And unlike the people of Los Angeles, they refuse to stay put. Texas alone is thought to carry an estimated 2.6 million of them, turning up now in about 99% of the state's 254 counties. There is almost no corner of Texas left without a hog track pressed somewhere in the mud. But the number that should really stop you isn't how many exist, it's how fast they replace themselves. A single sow can raise 2 litters a year, with as many as a dozen piglets in each. Do the math, and it's brutal. Even if you somehow wiped out 70% of every hog in a region in 1 year, the survivors could rebuild the entire population before the next season closes. Biologists call it the reset button, a near-perfect survival engine almost no other invasive animal in America can match. And they don't wait around to be dealt with. Over the past 2 decades, they've pushed northward faster than the models predicted. Out of the deep south, into the plains, into the suburbs, and from the suburbs straight into the cities. They've torn up golf courses, chewed through buried fiber optic cable, and wandered onto the runways of military air bases. One Florida homeowner watched a 300-pound boar smash straight through a sliding glass door, refuse to leave, and go after the family dog. So the government did what governments do. hundreds of millions of dollars. Traps, helicopters, hunting dogs, chemical baits, everything. And after all of it, the population still shows no sign of lasting decline. Let me say that as plainly as I can, because it's the whole reason those small tracks matter. With every tool, every dollar, every method we have, you are not winning. And something out in that forest just did, for free. If you'd rather outthink a problem than throw money at it and lose for 20 years, that's the entire idea behind this channel. Subscribe and stick around, because the rest of this story is exactly that. Now, back to why we can't just kill our way out of this. The sickness they carry. Because here's what makes leaving them alone impossible. Every year the damage estimates climb, and the most commonly cited federal figure sits at around $1.5 billion a year in destruction across the United States, with some estimates running higher still. Texas alone is thought to absorb something on the order of $500 million of that. Shrink it down, and it gets real fast. One Friday night in Williamson County, a farmer went to bed with 24 acres of corn standing ready for harvest. By morning, the whole field lay flattened. A group of roughly 30 hogs had rolled through in the dark. $40,000 gone overnight. In another Texas county, they didn't touch the crops at all. They dug and dug so deep, they collapsed the buried water lines feeding an entire ranch's irrigation system. $60,000 with not one dead animal to show for it. And the damage you can see is only half of it. Because hogs can't sweat, they have to wallow constantly to cool down, which means wallowing and defecating straight into ponds, creeks, and groundwater. In parts of Alabama, bacteria counts in streams near hog country have been measured many times above the safe limit. A single feral hog can carry more than 30 different diseases. In Texas, surveys have found roughly a third of tested hogs positive for brucella, a bacterium that causes long fevers and organ damage, and close to a fifth carrying pseudorabies. Their parasite loads run many times higher than farm-raised pigs. The CDC has warned that even handling raw feral hog meat without gloves can land you in a hospital, and every so often the danger is far more direct. In 2019, a Texas woman was attacked and killed by a feral hog just outside her own home. So you can't ignore them, and you can't kill enough of them, which leaves one obvious idea, and it fails too. Why we can't just eat the problem. 6 million hogs are wrecking everything, so why not just eat the problem? It sounds perfect. In Europe, wild boar is sold openly and turned into premium food. Germany moves tens of thousands of tons a year. Italy folds it into salami for its finest restaurants. Japan treats it as a prized winter hot pot meat. So why can't America do the same? 3 walls and they don't move. First, disease. American hogs live rough, drink foul water, and scavenge carcasses, so that same brucella and pseudorabies risk makes the raw meat a genuine hazard just to handle. Second, the law. Federal rules only allow meat to be sold commercially after it passes through a federally inspected facility, and wild-caught hogs can't clear that bar. You can hunt them and eat them yourself, but you cannot legally sell the meat, a paradox Europe just doesn't have. And third, taste. Because these animals never stop moving, the meat is lean, tough, and often carries a strong odor from a scavenger's diet, a wild flavor most American shoppers reject before they'll even try it. So there it is. Too many to kill, too dangerous to eat, too smart to trap. Every road that runs through us is a dead end. The answer, it turns out, was never going to come from us at all. It was already out there in the dirt, in those tracks. The tracks didn't lie. So, let's go back to the forest and to the photographs the warden sent off to the lab. The answer that came back stopped the whole team cold. Those tracks belonged to coyotes, not bears, not mountain lions, not any of the heavyweight predators you'd picture taking on an animal like this. Coyotes, creatures that weigh, on average, about 30 pounds, roughly the size of a mid-sized dog, going up against hogs many times heavier, armored in thick hide and armed with tusks. The first reaction from nearly everyone who studies these animals was one word: impossible. And to feel why that word came so fast, you have to know how America treats the coyote. Few animals on this continent are hunted harder. Farmers despise them for taking chickens and lambs. The federal government spends millions every year trying to thin them out. In recent years, several places push bounties up toward $75 a head, and somewhere around 400,000 coyotes are killed across the country every year. And after all that pressure, they didn't vanish. They spread into 49 of the 50 states, thriving in city parks as easily as on open ranch land. Here's the part that should give you chills. The single most hated, most hunted predator in America was quietly pulling off the one thing that billions of federal dollars could not. And nobody had taught it how. 4 in the morning, stay with me, because this is where it stops being a mystery and starts being caught on camera. Starting around the mid-2000s, researchers running motion-triggered cameras along game trails in the Texas Hill Country began pulling footage nobody expected. Not coyotes scavenging dead hogs. That would have been ordinary. What the cameras caught was coyotes hunting them, working in teams, splitting roles, coordinating with a level of planning scientists had assumed belonged only to true pack hunters like wolves. Picture the person who first sat down with those clips, playing them back at their desk, then playing them again, then again. Unable to square what was on the screen with everything they thought they knew about this animal. Let me walk you through one sequence slowly because you need to see it. It's 4 in the morning, full dark. 3 coyotes approach a sow's nest from the upwind side, and that is no accident. They know a hog's nose is razor sharp, so by coming from the direction the wind is already blowing, their scent is carried away from the sleeping animal instead of toward it. They move belly low, ears flat, almost silent, eyes locked on one thing. The mother hog, half asleep after a long night of rooting. They don't rush, they wait. 10 minutes, maybe 20. The camera just keeps rolling in the dark. Then the sow stands, roots around the nest for a moment, and drifts off to keep feeding. The instant her back is turned, it begins, and it's over in seconds. One coyote slips across the edge of the nest, low and fast and without a sound. The other 2 are already set at their angles, one of them positioned exactly where a panicked piglet would instinctively bolt. A single clean strike to the neck, and both animals melt back into the dark. By the time the sow comes back, there is nothing left to save. And the strangest part isn't how they did it. It's that, until recently, they couldn't. A skill that didn't exist. Because here's what the science says. This behavior is new. The cameras showed us what they were doing. The lab work told us how far it goes. On one Central Texas military installation, researchers who examined the stomachs of captured coyotes found that a striking share held piglet remains. And not old scavenged scraps, but fresh kills. In Georgia, wildlife officials working through hundreds of coyote scat samples over several years found pig DNA in roughly 1/3 of them, and that share has been climbing year after year. This is not the occasional lucky ambush. Coyotes are systematically targeting the next generation of hogs, pulling the piglets out before they can ever grow big enough to breed. And get this, before about 2010, there was almost no scientific record of coyotes hunting feral hogs in this organized way. It wasn't written into their instincts. It wasn't in the old accounts of the species. They worked it out, taught it to each other, and refined it over time. Ecologists suspect the pressure came from 2 directions at once. Humans had thinned out the coyotes' traditional prey of rabbits, rodents, and small birds, while millions of feral hogs were suddenly flooding the landscape with millions of piglets a year. An enormous food source almost nothing else was touching. Hunger drove the invention. And the clearest fingerprint of it is a tiny scheduling detail. Coyotes that once hunted deep in the night to dodge people have shifted, more and more, to hunting at dawn. Exactly when a sow is most exhausted after a full night of foraging. They didn't just learn how to hunt these hogs, they learned when. So, how big is the effect? In parts of East Texas, better than 30% of hog piglets vanish each season, concentrated not where the most traps sit, but where the coyotes are densest. In pockets of the state and beyond, feral hog numbers have dropped by around 1/5 without a single shot fired, a single trap set, or a single dollar spent. A healthy coyote population is quietly doing what billions in government money could not, and doing it for free. Which raises the one question nobody in charge seems to want to answer out loud. If this is working, why are we still trying so hard to stop it? The war, we're fighting on the wrong side. Here's where the whole thing tips into the absurd. The same federal wildlife program, funded through the Department of Agriculture, spends millions every year killing coyotes across farm country, with traps, poison, rifles, even aircraft. And the consequences are on the record. In at least one Texas county, when coyote numbers were driven down by more than half, the local feral hog population roughly tripled within a few years. Pull out the predator, and the hogs pour into the gap. Now, it would be easy to blame plain ignorance, but the truth is messier, and you deserve the honest version. Coyotes do cause real losses to livestock and poultry. Ranchers have legitimate reasons to want them controlled, and their industry carries real weight with lawmakers. But look at the two numbers side by side. The damage coyotes do is measured in millions. The damage the hogs do is measured in billions. And coyotes are, right now, the only natural break that actually works. So, current policy protects one industry while quietly dismantling the best defense we have against a far bigger one. And while that argument grinds on in offices and committee rooms, the hogs keep breeding every single night, waiting for absolutely no one. So, picture the this morning one last time. The warden's standing over 17 hogs scattered through the trees, each one barely touched, those small tracks pressed in the dirt around them. What they were looking at wasn't a massacre. It was an ecosystem quietly correcting itself. For decades, we've met this problem with the same reflex. More traps, more guns, more money. And every year, the answer comes back the same. More hogs, more damage, a harder fight than before. The coyote doesn't play that game. It needs no budget, no permit, no approval. It just adapts. And in adapting to survive, it became the most effective ally in this fight that America never knew it had. The one we're still paying to kill. The bigger lesson runs deeper than hogs or coyotes. Break one link in an ecosystem, and the cost never stops at that one link. Sometimes the solution we've spent billions chasing has been standing right in front of us the whole time. We just have to stop fighting it. So, let me leave you with a real question, and I want your answer. Why does the government keep spending money to kill the one predator that's actually working? Is it the farm lobby? Is it plain bureaucratic inertia? Or is it something we still haven't figured out? Drop your take in the comments. And while you're there, tell me which invasive species we should break down next. If this changed how you see the wild even a little, hit like and subscribe to World Enigma. It genuinely helps me keep making these. See you in the next one.